Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you could join me for this episode of the Enneagram and Marriage Pod. I am so glad that today we get to talk about using tech together to foster human connection with Aly Bullock of the Paired app. She is the head of relationships over there. She has a combined over 1 million followers on her Instagram, and I have loved learning relationship tips from Aly. We talked last week on Monday about how AI is so hard and difficult. We gave some good tips too about what it does for us in good ways, but largely we talked about the hard pieces, right? And today, I want to make sure that you know there are some good uses and spaces for tech. We want to do these quick heuristics where we do a quick bypass, like all tech is evil. We better go back to just farm equipment. I'm thinking Tolkien, who didn't even want cars, versus things are actually helpful sometimes. And apps are very helpful sometimes at getting us to relax and helping us to find our white noise or getting us to even, as we're going to talk about today, really a great place of connection together. So I'm very excited to talk to you about this. I am just getting to know the Paired app myself. I'm very excited to already be seeing inside of it and seeing all the different offerings. There's a free question of the day as you and your spouse or partner sign up. And this is a great way to get to really use your tech to connect. So I'm happy about it. And I'm grateful that there's also a code for you guys if you want to in the show notes so that you can get it too. And because our guest, Aly, is not just the head of the Paired app, but also a marriage and family therapist, it's such a joy to also follow her because she has, and God bless her and her husband, they both share so many scenarios with us of what it actually looks to walk out some of these conversations. And so it's a for real helpful tool, not just something that's a gimmick or trying to get you to a quick fix. It's her taking time to help you to regulate, asking the tough questions, and also to have fun. So sometimes, guys, it's a beautiful thing. It may not be quite as popular to hover the middle space, especially in culture right now where everything's so polarized. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of joy and wisdom in learning what the good you can take from technology is while leaving behind the hard. Because we're all together here on this pod because of tech. Remember, I started it right before COVID, thankfully, but otherwise, it was a very COVID-driven pod because I kept it going, probably because there's nothing else to do. And so I'm just grateful that we got to remind ourselves that technology can absolutely and does absolutely bring it and bring us together. But it definitely also has its shadows. So stay tuned for more episodes to that end. I know you better be over at Amy Wick's pod also because she is doing a series on it as well. And I believe hers is next Monday starting up where I'm on her pod. And otherwise, I hope that you just love this episode. So check out the show notes. I am just happy that Wes and I have had some fun time for him to travel with Jack. Guys, power up, just like Johnny Lawrence says in the Cobra Kai, to Danny LaRusso, get your house in order. Wes is getting our house in order. Him and his friend took their kids to meet one of our other old friends from Michigan to just have a men's trip in the north part of Michigan that you can think of, where my dad used to take me when I was a kid. And my grandma's from that area. And so I'm just so happy they got to see the most gorgeous waters. Any of you yippers know that. They got to have pasties. They got to just soak it up and all that beautiful fall color glory that I am missing. But I am headed up to do that as well. So I am going to be having so much fun. And then Wes will meet me up north, but we're going to be having such a fun time up north ourselves, me and the kids and, all of us. The girls and I will actually be going for the Nashville tour to AACC. So maybe I'll see you there too this week. And otherwise, just know that I will still be on Wednesday's pod, pre-recorded, of course, and cannot wait to meet you there as well. But I will be actually traveling that day. So I'm excited to just get to share E&M in the world and continuing to write a lot. That is what has happened in my past weekend. I would tell you that it was a very, very good and large writing weekend. So I'm very excited to share about all that we're learning with you continually. You always teach me so much too. Thank you for being here and doing that. There would be nothing if you weren't sharing from your end too. The little comments, questions, tips, situations you share with me, whether through a coaching session or through a voice note or through just an Instagram DM or an email, those are so meaningful and beautiful to me. And they inform so much of my work when I'm not geeking out over Tolkien or Jane Austen or trying to get my family to go to the Harry Morgan Library and see all the things. And everyone's just like, oh my gosh, we don't want to see this early copy of the Brontes or the Gutenberg Bible or whatever else is the current thing that I want to show them. But some of you do actually, which is so fun about having friends from all walks of life. And I think that sometimes there's some literature lovers here too. And yes, Sir Thomas Malory's King Arthur is also going to be where I'm headed. So it's like all these fun things that I'm always trying to do on the side with Enneagram and marriage, find a way to sneak it in, mystery dinner games, all the lore. Thank you for being here for all of that. Let's talk to Aly from Paired as we get started on our week here. Aly, we are so thankful to have you on the Enneagram and Marriage Pod today. You are a licensed therapist. You are the head at Paired. Can you tell us more about yourself? And just thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. Yes. So my name's Aly. I am a licensed couples therapist, a marriage and family therapist. And so I love doing work with couples. And then I am head of relationships at Paired, which is the number one couples app, actually. So this is an incredible app that is so fun. It's a way for couples to connect through daily questions and all sorts of activities. And so, yeah, I do content for them. I create videos for them. I do all sorts of outreach for them to help couples to be more connected.
Oh my goodness. And your energy is beautiful. I actually had you, as you know, thank you so much. Just refresh on your Enneagram type with us. And I see that you are three of the most vibrant types right at the top. The type three, the
Oh,
achiever,
okay.
the type eight, who is a go-getter, protector, and passionate person. And then the type seven, who has joy and exuberance, which I noticed right when we got on the call today. So you're just like moving and shaking out there. So thank you extra.
Thank you so much. I have read part of an Enneagram book. I've dabbled in it a little bit, but I'm not so aware of what they all mean. And so it's really nice to hear you say those kind things about me.
Oh, well, whenever you see somebody who's really gifted in all kinds of leadership, it doesn't mean that we all don't have our gift because, oh my gosh, some of my kids are the introvert gift, and the thoughtfulness that
Mm,
they show by
mm,
going slower is just a beautiful thing. But when you see
mhm.
somebody in leadership, it's not surprising in that way because many of us are like, I could never do that. And then you kind of see the personality type. You're like, okay, this is why she can do that.
Gotcha. I love that. Well, hey, I'll step
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are some of the maybe some of the more difficult aspects of those numbers?
Oh, that is so courageous of you to ask. And I will just name that. Of course, for the three, when we say achiever performer, it could be,
Mhm.
and usually is, that it's so hard to stop tracking, which we all relate to
Mm,
nowadays. But just to
mhm,
say, I have worth even when I'm not serving or even if I don't win. For the eight, to be vulnerable is hard because obviously we all
mhm.
have, why I love the Enneagram is it also discusses the deep wounds. So back when I was
Yeah.
doing my marriage and family training and doing my master's level psychology work, I remember doing these buckets and buckets of assessments, and the Enneagram gets us
Mm,
there faster to say, oh, eight struggle with that sense of being vulnerable. And if they're not as healthy, and three struggle
yeah.
with not being the achiever, and sevens are scattered. And so there's all
Mhm.
kinds of things. I'm sure when we look at our shadows, we could say, oh, yeah, that
Yes.
hits me when I'm not as healthy, right?
Yes. Oh, even just you saying those things, I'm like, yes, yes, yeah. Okay.
Right. And we all have them, which puts us all on that even playing field that every gift has these beautiful pieces.
Mhm.
And then obviously you have great traction in those. And then we just have to look out for those in our relationships. And the Enneagram gives us that shorthand. So I
For
love that
sure.
you have an app though, because what could be a mistake for people who study Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, anything could
Hmm.
be that we only see that. And instead,
Mm,
you and I have trained in our field as
yeah.
John Gottman, internal family
Yeah.
systems, so many other pieces. So, can you tell our audience about the Paired app first, just so that they know? Because I want everyone to know you need general couples tools, also, not just Enneagram.
Yes, that's the whole premise is that we really believe that couples connecting at a micro level on the day-to-day basis is what can sustain them long term. And so
Mhm.
paired, essentially, you download paired, you pair with your partner, and every day you get a question or a quiz or something when you log on and you answer it, and you can't see your partner's answer until they've answered, or and you can't see their answer until you've answered. So it
Ooh.
really requires both of you to contribute. And What I love is the range of topics. I mean, all sorts of questions. Some are really fun, playful, flirty, sexual. Others are really deep about, families or communication or repair. And so it's just a really simple way to show your partner every day, like, I'm choosing to connect with you. I'm choosing to spend a few minutes on our relationship. And it's just a beautiful tool that I love to use in my own relationship and recommend to others, of course.
Oh, I love that. It means so much more when you're able to see the fruits in your own life because you're knowing how busy everyone is and you guys are truly connecting. And I'm sure that this also brings you closer together, like you said, physically. It's not just let's mentally check in, it's we're actually bringing these to the bedroom. We're actually bringing these to our date nights and all of that from what I can see.
Totally, totally. And the fun thing is too, you have your daily question, but when you create an account, you can then go search for more content. So like if you want to have a sexy date night, you can search through the tons of quizzes we have on different flirting things or sexual preferences or any topic you can think of that has to do with your relationship. There's something for you to do with your partner, strengthen your relationship in that area, and yeah, have some fun too.
Oh, that's beautiful. We all need that pick up in our relationship, especially a lot of our listeners are past the honeymoon season and they're in that middle
Yes.
marriage. There's the limerence of others that could be so enticing. And so to keep the sexual instinct vibrant
Mhm.
is very, very helpful. And when I say that, I even mean the element of surprise and attraction. So I'm
Uh-huh.
very excited for this. And of course, guys, this is in the show notes. And I know you're also talking with us about today, something you and I have probably talked with many of our clients about, the
Mhm.
perpetual problems that John Gottman talks about. So I wondered
Yes.
if you could help some of our listeners who may not be familiar with that term, but probably definitely familiar in their relationship with it, what this means.
For sure. Okay, so the Gottmans, as you know, are incredible researchers who have studied couples for 40 plus years at this point. And through their research, they have found that couples share a set of perpetual problems. And what that means is that the problem doesn't go away. That's why it's perpetual. It's something
Yeah.
that is a recurring issue. Think of it as that thing that always tends to come up in your relationship. Maybe you've had 30 fights about this specific thing and you
Mhm.
think, why can't we just fix this? Well, because it's a perpetual problem. And the interesting thing is that actually 69% of problems in a relationship are shown to be perpetual,
Amazing.
which is
Wow.
incredible. And I'm curious your take on that as an Enneagram specialist, knowing that there's these different personality types. Like, does that track?
Yes, it does. And it tracks especially when we have different desires. My first book was on the nine types, and I had one chapter about these three survival desires within the book. And my next book that I'm writing is on those three survival desires because especially if, for instance, one of you is really social and the other of you is very sexual, or the other desire would
Mm-hmm.
be self-pres, and one of you like loves to save money and go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one's one of the other two. It's like, oh my gosh. And I have found about 80% of couples have these discrepancies. So I'm like, okay, we're
Yes.
we're challenging each other in good ways to pick up what is my survival gift. But it goes right along with that statistic of a lot of these issues are going to hit something deeper, right?
For sure. And that's what it's rooted in is just values differences. Maybe
Yes.
it was the way you were raised. Maybe
Yes.
it's just a core personality type, right? But these are fundamental differences that don't have to, cause tension throughout your relationship because there are ways to move from what we call gridlock to
Mhm.
acceptance. But
Mhm.
they are going to be things that you are, constantly having to approach with humor and flexibility and adaptability so that you don't drive yourself crazy.
Yes, and I love when we can get to the fun place, the humor, and laugh about this is ridiculous. We're back here again. So, what are some
Totally.
tips you share with your couples sometimes, or even build into the app where you're like, I know this is happening, and here's at least something we can do to get some traction? And naming
Yes.
together, of course, is still going to be painful because conflict has that element too.
Yeah, well, one of the first tools I think every couple needs to have is curiosity. Okay, because when you stop being curious about why your partner is the way they are, you
Mm-hmm.
lose empathy for them.
Yes.
And when you have these issues that come up over and over again, it's really easy just to label your partner. Oh, you're just a messy person, or you just don't care about respecting people's time, all sorts of labels. But when you really get curious and you ask about the story behind their position, you
Mm,
can access your empathy. And
mm,
so, for example, I'm thinking about a perpetual problem between my husband and I.
mm,
I never leave something in the same place twice.
Relatable.
this, this drives him absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And when we were first together, we would always fight about this. Now we've reached a place of humor 80% of the time.
Yeah.
But when we think about the story behind it,
Mhm.
it's like for me, routine, I feel like I'm trapped. If I have a routine, I feel like I'm trapped. I feel like I can't be creative, can't be flexible. And so it's so hard for me, as silly as it sounds, to
Yeah.
put something in the same spot every day,
Yeah.
right? It
Mm.
takes the spontaneity out of life.
Yes, yes, exactly. There's your step
And
seven right there for those listeners
yes,
who are tracking with us.
oh, amazing. And so for him, even just understanding that a little bit deeper allows him to access some empathy and say, okay, you're not doing this maliciously.
Mm.
You're
Mhm.
doing it because this is, part of your story. So curiosity is my first tip.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that tip. And it reminds me of that Gottman concept that I only recently heard about in the past year or two about dreams within conflict. Of sometimes it's
Yes.
not only just a nervous system regulating thing because we have a type 7, which I am a type 7 as a lead. And so I resonate with that in the sense of my audience has heard me talk about dinner time where my husband and I are like, he's like, I'm a traditionalist. I didn't have family dinners. I have this nervous system that's very logical. And mine is like,
Mm.
I'm all over the place. Sitting down with dinner with you is going to require some sort of self-soothing. And so, like,
Yes.
that is part of it. But there's this whole other part of these dreams within the conflict also that maybe you could speak to us a little bit about, because I know that when we have different dreams and values you hinted at, that can also be part of it.
Yes, absolutely. When I think about the flip side about my husband, he grew up as one of 9 kids, a lot of chaos in his house. So one of his dreams is to be able to find things when he needs them,
Yeah.
right? To be able to have peace, peace in his mind, order in his home.
Yeah.
And it really is a dream of his because he didn't always have that growing up, right? And so me, instead of labeling him as being neurotic or being so type A or so uptight, right? I can
Mhm.
step back and have a much gentler, kinder approach and say, this dream makes sense. And actually, how can I honor what's important to you
Mm.
without compromising myself? And it
Mm.
takes collaboration and multiple discussions, but you can get to that point.
I love that. And you said it starts with curiosity. And that's neat because maybe you don't know the dream and you're listening, and a lot of you do, but some of you don't. And so just even
Yeah.
asking, wait a second, I'm noticing that you always like the dishes put in the sink, or I'm noticing that you always want to take a walk right when you get home before you even talk to me or work outside or whatever it is, this little
Mm-hmm.
grating piece. And when they can
Mm-hmm.
tell you, yeah, I was feeling overwhelmed in this or that way, it really helps you to say, this is not about me, right?
Yes, totally. And one thing I do love about the app specifically is that it generates curiosity. It's a new question every day. And the reviews that we get every week are like, we've been married for 25 years. I forgot how much I didn't know about my wife, all sorts of things. So it's a really beautiful way to just work that muscle of being curious about your partner again.
Thank you, because you nailed it that yes, we may have been married for a while and we may think we know all the dreams, but we know
Hmm.
we're humans with neuroplasticity now, and the dreams shift,
Yes.
right? I've even seen
Yes,
people's
totally.
deep survival desires shift and seen a bit of that with myself. And so yeah,
Mm.
they're like, yeah, but I know you loved this. No, not anymore, And so that is so cool that you reminded
Totally.
us with the app that we can continue these love maps sort of Gottman questions that we ask.
Yes.
And do you feel like a lot of
Yes.
people have shared this has really helped even those perpetual sticky issues to get a bit of traction?
Yeah, because the cool thing is because you can't see your partner's answer until you've answered, you both have to be a little vulnerable,
Mm,
right? You both
mhm,
have to be willing to share if
mm,
you want to, receive information from them. And so it encourages partners to open up kind of in a different way. And
mm,
another thing is sometimes couples, you probably know, have a hard time in person all the time. Like sometimes talking out loud to your partner, it's just harder to be honest and open.
mhm,
Whereas I don't recommend this all the time, but sometimes texting about something or sometimes using an app can be like a third party that helps you self-soothe and stay a little bit more grounded while you're talking about something that's difficult.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so real. Even for us helpers,
Yeah.
and especially when we have that 3, 7, 8, and I have the seven, probably some of that eight wing. We would say in
Hmm.
Enneagram, like the numbers on the sides of you. And so I can very much relate. And yesterday I texted my husband because I was doing this narrative series, and I was like, well, I better do that with him too. So I texted
Mm.
5 things I loved about him, and then he texted back. And I noticed it took me hours to say anything back to him because that was a lot for me to receive as a
Mm.
non-feeler. And then later I was writing
Yeah.
him about something else and I was like, oh, thanks for saying that about me too.
Yeah.
And then like
Right,
in
right.
person, we kind of like do a little dancing toward it. But I think that we just have to be real. This is the culture we're
Yeah.
in. And if we
Yeah.
say, oh, I can only do it, and I've heard this from several perfectionist type one kind of clients, they would
Mm.
say, I can only do it if it's perfect and 100%. But you and I know
Mm.
the perfect is the enemy of the good, right?
Yes, I love that quote. Oh my gosh, so true.
We just have to do it sometimes. So start where you're at. The paired app is a great way to start. What if one of our issues is really sticky? It's about, say, ongoing extended family. I know Dr. Tracy Daglish has a new book coming out. I can't wait to talk to her about you, your husband, and his mother. But just the sense of like, when we're in those extended family relationships, they can just drive a wedge if they're not, even though that extended family does not mean to, it just happens sometimes. Do you feel like when you're curious, that helps there too? Or do you have other tips around that area?
I think it's a combination of a lot of skills. You do need to remain curious and also set boundaries is the thing.
Mm,
You have to decide as a couple,
yeah.
how are we going to show up as a team on this
Mhm.
issue? And if there are moments when it feels really hard to be a team,
Mm,
is there a way that we can be separate on this issue but still supported?
mm,
So maybe that's you going to a family event and I'm going to stay behind, but we've agreed beforehand that, when you're with your family, you're not going to talk about these issues that are personal to me with them.
mm.
Right. So
Yeah.
boundary setting is really hard for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to extended family.
Yeah.
But I think where I would tell couples to start is decide what do we really want to be a united front on?
Mm,
Like, how can we be a team in this? And then how can we, regardless of what our family is going to do, how can we stay true to our values as a couple? And then once you've determined those things, then you set some tangible boundaries, like, what you are or aren't going to do.
mm. That's very wise. And I liked how you even had a video. You have probably between the two accounts over 1 million followers, but I love that. And I loved how you share videos all the time with you and your husband, guys. She shows us these on her personal account. So
Thank
that is in
you.
the show notes too. But like you really walked us through like going over to that extended family's house. Do you remember that video? You probably have several.
I've done so many. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't remember which one.
It was just where you were walking and talking out those things and saying like you were setting boundaries actively in
Mm,
the video. And I was like, it was the check-in, like when we're together and we're maybe at the extended family's house, and then they say, hey, do you want to come like why don't you stay the night over here? And the other partner's like, hey, don't forget to talk to me before you make any big
yes.
decisions.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you've got to know each other really well, of course, but you have to make sure that exactly what you just said, you're not making any decisions that aren't as a team.
Mm,
And so, like, if we're at a big family event and my mom says, okay, you guys are going to come with us to ice cream, and I
mhm.
know that my husband's really tired and was thinking we were going home,
Yeah. Hmm.
before I just say, okay, let's go,
Hmm.
I'm going to say, you know what? That sounds really fun, but
Hmm.
Sean and I had different expectations, so I'm going to check in with him first, and then I'll
Hmm.
let you know if we're coming.
Yeah. Right.
So you can still be respectful and kind while
Mhm.
not just making a decision without your partner's input.
I love that you really respect the relationship. And even if you decide, oh, you know what, I'll drop you off and then I'm going to go to the ice cream. Or, you
Totally.
know what, we drove separately, no problem, truly no problem. Or, you know what, we were going to have a date after this. So can we honor that?
Exactly.
Like, I love that you're just connecting us with our
Mhm.
partner and
Yeah.
making sure that whatever this perpetual Gottman issue is that we're talking about, that we don't feel like we can't talk about it. Because I think that's what happens with a lot of
Yeah.
couples. And I'm sure you and I both know a lot of avoidant attachers are out there, right?
Yes. Well, one thing you just made me remember was when I was first married, my husband and I had this perpetual issue related to extended family.
Mm-hmm.
So he had grown up, well, since he was in college, he was having family dinners at his parents' house every week.
Mm.
And these were with all of his siblings. Everyone would go back to the parents' house, have dinner together.
Yeah.
And I grew up without any extended family nearby.
Mm.
And we would have dinner with friends on Sundays often. So we would invite this family over and have dinner with them.
Yeah.
And when we were first married, I was looking at him like, we're not going to go back to your family's house every week, right?
Yeah.
And he felt that that meant I didn't like them,
Yeah.
which wasn't true at all. It was just
Mm.
that, for me, Sunday dinner was with friends. And for him, Sunday dinner was with family. And
Yeah.
so I share this because I want to illustrate the story behind it. Once we were
Mm.
curious about each other,
Yeah.
he understood the story behind my position. It had nothing to do with me not liking his family.
Mm.
It had everything to do with me really valuing these relationships that I'd had with family friends growing up and wanting to
Yeah.
continue that tradition.
Yeah.
And then he had his own reasons on the same side. So what we ultimately collaborated on, I try and avoid the word compromise because I think that means you're giving something up. But what we
Mm.
ultimately decided to collaborate on was, twice a month
That's
with
perfect.
family, once a month with friends, once a month on our own. Like it worked out and it felt good for everyone because we were curious.
My goodness, that's a really good example. And that helps you guys to be able to have some healthy differentiation too, which I've had couples say, I want to light the unity candle, but I don't want to lose myself. And I do think that the sexual
Totally.
instinct means merging, but it also means having a little bit of a dance there, right? You and I know that if we're smothering and we would say
Mm,
maybe anxious or disorganized attached, our partner's going to be like, what happened? Like, I still value my extended family. Just because I married you doesn't mean that's over. And
right.
like you said, sometimes the spouse is like, oh, of course I know that. I just had a different dream myself. So I love
Yeah.
your term collaboration, because I think that we both like with our personality want to stay positive, and that helps us to move forward healthily, not resentfully, right?
Yes. Totally. And one thing you just mentioned about, I think you said sexual merging. Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. Okay. Which is actually a new term for me. But one thing that came to mind was when we're attracted to our partner initially, it's because they're new and different and separate from us.
Yes.
And,
Mhm.
over time, if we become the same person, that it's easy for that attraction to fade. They need to have enough separateness
Yes.
that they're still their own person, that we can still be attracted to them for who they are, not just because they're identical to who we are.
Right. Yeah, and that's the craziest part. But that's what makes me love my husband when I stop and see his differences. And
Yes.
wow, okay, you're not me. This is a good thing. So thank you
Exactly.
so much for these beautiful, refreshing tips today. And I think many listeners are like, I need that paired app. I need to follow her account and see these tips because she has so many hundreds of videos, practically you and your hubby. And now we'll be curious to his type. So let me know if you ever find it out. But
Okay.
tell us where we can find you and the app as well.
Amazing. Okay, so the app, we'll start there on the App Store, Google Play Store. You can search Paired. It's Paired, the app that brings couples closer. And then we have our socials at Paired App, where we do a lot of relationship content. And
Perfect.
then my personal page is at Relationships with Aly. And there I do a lot of real life role plays, like you're saying. So, what I've found people say is that these videos are so helpful because it's the first time they're seeing an example of how a productive conversation could look. And so,
Mhm.
lots of videos, like you said, hundreds of videos there, and then paired.com as well. So, those are all the different places.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. And tell your hubby thank you so much also. It is so encouraging. And you're not fake about it where you're like, oh, it was perfect. Sometimes you'll even say in your videos, like, it
Yes,
takes a little while for our nervous system to reset. Don't
for
expect it
sure.
to be perfect. So thank you for being so real, Aly, for the beautiful tips, for the awesome app. And everything is in the show notes. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Chris. It's so good to talk to you.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Give yourself a pat on the back for getting it done. I am so proud of you. And also, myself, happy to be heading off to the gym before everybody's home. I am just going to take a few moments. I actually skipped out. I already had two church services because Melody was in worship. And then I met a friend for lunch and her family and kids and mother and the girls. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go to your friend's pre engagement party, who I love this girl, but I'm like, I will go to her bridal shower and everything else. But sometimes you just need a minute to yourself. So I have enjoyed it. I will continue to enjoy it. I hope you too balance, get some real time away from tech, get some good time on tech with the Paired app. And I will talk to you soon. Bye bye. Thank you again for listening with us. It was so wonderful to have you. I love knowing we're doing this journey together, not perfectly, but with love, grace, and hopefully some fun too. If you loved today's episode, make sure you leave us a 5-star review at Apple Podcast or Spotify so others can find it too. Visit our show notes so you can get all the links from today's show, as well as enneagramandmarriage.com, the Instagram, the Facebook, and all over the place. Make sure you spread the word. Love living intentionally with you. Bye-bye.